Hello, welcome to the queue for turn 11, United Kingdom and France. Of course, the Commonwealth sandwiched in between there. So we've got for Britain, $31. We're getting a Marine in London, a medium armor in South Africa. We're going to send a medium bomber to Canada for the aerodrome of democracy, so that's 10 instead of 11. We have one militia, one submarine, and a Lend-Lease French infantry. FEC got convoyed for 3, leaving them with $2. They'll get a militia. No convoy on Anzac, so they have 13. So they will also send a medium bomber to Canada for 10 to be trained, and the other 3 will be a paratrooper infantry in Sydney. Looking over here, Canada with $7 will buy a destroyer. I'm going to use this dice to mark how much I'm saving. So 2 planes this turn, so that'll be 2 IPP. See if I can get back my 5 IPP. France with $5, infantry and militia. So that's pretty simple. The tech that we're going to roll for is improved construction, which is the only one on the board. These 2 are new, so probably won't get them, but we're going to roll for them anyway because we can. Improve factories and anti-submarine warfare. So we got nothing better to do with our time here. All right, so they are all at 7. So let's roll the dice, see what we get here. 6, 3, and a 1. So that's nothing. So we have no tech this turn. Get that out of the way. And combat. So we've got, that's French combat. This will be combat because it's escort duty. So we're going to move a destroyer from Sea Zone 48 down to 79 to go on escort duty as well. Get that out of the way. We have a corvette moving from the marker here in Sea Zone 32 up to Sea Zone 24 to go on convoy duty with that destroyer. We're going to leave him there. We've got this corvette in 23 going on escort duty into 22. And I believe that is it for our escort duties. We do have one attack where we're rolling dice, and it will be up north here. And you know what? I probably should just go around the other side of the board instead of leaning over. Let me go do that real quick. Just notice my microphone's leaning out and away. Hopefully that works. All right, so now that I'm on this side, we'll flip this around. So we've got 4 subs here in Sea Zone 11. I got my new Maritime Air Patrol. I like the Combat Air Patrol better, but anyway. So we've got a medium bomber going on to Maritime Air Patrol from the British Midlands, along with 2 fighters. And we are not going to bring any destroyers up. So whatever we get is what we get. Grab some dice and the tray here. And we'll have 2 at 6 and 1 at 7. And it's a one-time shot. See if we get anybody. All right, so we've got the 2 6s hit and the 7 is a miss. So we will take 2 German subs off. And that is the extent of our combat rolling for this turn. I think I'll leave that up here just because France is going to do the same thing with its fighter here in a second. All right, so they will go back and land here in the British Midlands. Take one of those off, the British marker off. And I'll just toss it over there. All right, so looking around, yeah, everything else is just non-com. So we're going to move this Marine out of London into the British Midlands, along with this jet fighter into the Midlands. And that should be it. We've got, I'm going to go around to the other side of the board because everything else is easily reached from over there. You can look at Japan. They just dropped a bunch of ships. US just dropped a bunch of ships. So the square off is coming. I guess while we're here, we will use our strategic naval movement with this destroyer, this transport, not a destroyer. So we're going to grab that anti-aircraft. Man, I am messing up big time. Artillery from the Gambier Islands. No, we're not. We're going to leave it. We're going to grab the regular Marine and go from 138, 1, 2, 3, 4, and drop them off into southern Australia, where we will rail a infantry from Sydney in there as well. All right, the rest of these guys, with this other transport, we're going to move this whole task force marker into 137. I guess we can't move the U.S. ships. They have to stay. And we will slide the Fiji Marine unit and the artillery over there. Canadians, sorry guys, you got to hang out there. I have to do something different. All right, we've got a submarine in 146. We'll come up 1, 2, 3 into 126 and join that other sub that used to be British. We got our coastal sub moving over one sea zone into sea zone 132. We have our sub here in 116 coming up 1, 2, 3 into sea zone 86. And we couldn't convoy Japan because he took 6, Russia took 6 from him on the convoy. He elected to take 5 from this line here, which makes sense because this other line's pretty well protected, and I couldn't have got anybody in there. Well, I guess I could have. 1, 2, 3, yeah, I could have risked going in there, but not worth the sub risk at this point. Let's take that marker off. Down south, we are using the railroad here to move this anti-aircraft gun from South Africa all the way up to eastern Egypt. All right, that is the rail movement. We've got the British infantry, colonial infantry unit, and the RAR, Rhodesian rifles, I believe. We're going to move them up. Both those units move up from Rhodesia to Belgian Congo. From South Africa, we have the King's Rifles moving up into Rhodesia, a Anzac infantry, and the Patricias, I believe, the Canadian unit. They have to stay. All right. That looks like all our movement there. We have 1 infantry in Sudan moving into Nubia, 1 from Nubia moving into eastern Egypt, 1 from eastern Egypt moving into western Egypt. So it's just kind of shuffled up there, so to speak. All right, over here, let's get this guy out of the way. He'll move out of the Dutch Suriname into the Amazon, because that seems like a good place to be, you know. All right, let's move some ships. We've got this transport here is going to grab 1 Marine, and I'm going to have to take that ship out of there, and a regular infantry. So let me grab a regular infantry from somewhere. All right. So there's our 2 units. We are at a naval base there, so they can go 3. 1, 2, 3 into C-Zone 83. Land those guys into Aden. That seems risky, so let's bring some ships over to protect us against that nasty German U-boat. So we're going to grab a destroyer and a cruiser out of C-Zone 80. 1, 2, 3. So they will go into there as well. I've marked it up, C-Zone 83. I'll leave that there. All right. What else are we moving over there? We've got a carrier and a fighter from C-Zone 79, along with a submarine, along with 2 more heavy cruisers and a light cruiser. And I think that is what I'm moving over there, yeah. So let me just grab all those and I'll just run them over there. All right, so they're at a naval base, so they can move the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 into C-Zone 83. So let me lay these guys all out. And that is my fast movers. And I believe I knocked over a Canadian here. Didn't mean to do it, but it happened. All right, so let's get that out of there. All right, so we've got some more moving parts. We've got 1 transport from C-Zone 79. 1, 2, 3 into C-Zone 24. From C-Zone 24 is a torpedo boat destroyer. 1, 2, 3. Put them on that task force marker, I guess. All right, and we got these 3 ships still on escort duty. And we're going to bring down from C-Zone 32. I guess we'll take that marker off. We're going to bring down, let's leave the fighter in that C-Zone for a second. 1, 2, we'll have this carrier come down. And actually that guy's in the way. All right. From C-Zone 32 as well, another heavy cruiser and a battle cruiser. So we'll pile those in there on that task force marker. Into C-Zone 79. We're going to leave in C-Zone 32 the transport, the carrier and the tactical bomber, along with the destroyer on escort. The 2 remaining ships is a light cruiser and a torpedo boat destroyer. And they will go up 2 into C-Zone 24. All right, so let's grab markers. We don't need this yet. They'll form back up, I'm sure, at some point. Looking for any other markers. Oh, yes, that's what I got. I got this Canadian fighter with long-range aircraft. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will land on this carrier. Don't have a magnet on that Canadian fighter, so he'll rest there comfortably. And that should do it. The rest, no, that was that. The rest of these arrows, I believe, are the French moves. I'm looking, yes, let's place out some goods. All right, well, like I said, in London is going to be a Marine. Got to replace that one that moved out. And what have we got here in South Africa? We've got a medium armor in South Africa. Might want to see that on the board. In Canada, we're going to have this medium bomber training and then the medium bomber from Anzac. So I believe they have to be in 2 different zones. So I don't think it has to be a factory. It just got to be in 2 different land zones. So the Anzac bomber will be in Canadian Maritimes and the British medium bomber will be in Quebec. And last two items for Britain is a militia, a submarine, and then the French Lend-Lease. And there is nothing in the Lend-Lease pass from London to Morocco, but they'll slide over into northern Algeria. All right, so the submarine will go into Sea Zone 24 as there is a minor shipyard there. And the last item is the militia, which will go into Western Egypt. All right. That is it for Britain. I will grab the 2 units, one for Far East Command, which will be a militia. We'll put that in Maharashtra for their final stand next turn. And then the Anzac paratrooper will go into Sydney. And that is it for Britain. So let's look at our money here before we get crazy. All right, so Anzac has 2 territories, and oddly enough, they still get their 2 wartime bonus for a total of 4. Let's put that over there. Sydney, Anzac, they do get their wartime bonus back for no surface ships, so I'll put that back up on the board. So they get 2 for that because Japanese ships are sailing north. Their regular income is 7, so that will be 9. And Britain, they spent all their money. They are at 21. And I want to see, I think that's right, but I'm not so sure. I'm starting to think if I've taken it down for losing Greece. What do I start with? I start with 19. I've got 1 from the Dutch, 1 from Belgium. So that would be right, 21. All right, so 21 is correct. And then we have 3 for the Suez Canal. So we'll put that on there for a total of 24. Now we get to roll our 2 dice for wartime income. And that is 10. So that's 3 of 4, I think, have been good rolls. So $10. I wonder if I want to put it all in London this time. I wasn't thinking ahead. Last time I had a plan with Anzac, what they needed. That is a booger. So they got 9. They could lose 2 if they were convoyed. So let's put 3 there. That way they will have 12 total. And then that means 7 goes over here to Britain, and that gives them, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that'd be 32 for London, or Britain, however you want to say that. All right. So there's their money. I digress. Let's move on to, oh, we didn't place Canada. They spent their $7. And then that destroyer is going in the shipyard here in Sea Zone 21. Where is it? Well, technically it's around the bend, but it's the same sea zone, so that's where that's going. All right, so Canada's income is 6. There are no raiding submarines on the 2 Atlantic lines, so I'll put that 2 back up on the board. So they get a bonus of 3 because they still have that 1 guy in Asia. All right, so that will be a total of $9 for Canada next turn. Get that German sub. I'll leave it there. They might be back raiding this turn. Who knows? All right, so it is France's turn next. They do have 2 attacks, and they are both on subs. So coming from Northern Algeria is a fighter going on to the Maritime Air Patrol, along with this medium bomber going after that submarine there. And then up north, I'll just lean over. We've got a fighter going on Maritime Air Patrol going after those 2 subs. Now, I can't get those 2 subs, but I made a mess there. All right, so here is, let's get those subs out of there. Here is the northern battle, since it's just 1 dice in C-Zone, oh, no, not 11. It is 11, C-Zone 11. All right, so I need a 6-runner to get a sub. All right, so we've got a sub casualty up here, so they're down to 1 sub there. So that was fairly decent combat there. Appreciate that. All right, down here I've got a 6 for this fighter and a 7 for that. I'll just roll the dice twice. First is the fighter, and it misses. Second is the medium bomber at a 7, and it misses. Stinkers. Oh well. Just as well. If I'm going to miss one, it might as well have been the Vichy sub, because they can't convoy anybody. All right, let's take those markers off. So these planes will go back and land there, and he'll head back to Northern Algeria. He will head back to British Midlands. Now, the good news is with the radar tech, I've got 4 fighters in the Midlands that can scramble. So, using my radar to its advantage, hopefully. Other French moves. I've got 1 infantry coming out of Algeria into Tunisia. I'll just put that ship there. That's pretty much it for the French. Let's place their goods. And that is a militia and a infantry. And the infantry is actually going to go down here in Chad. And the militia is going to go up here in Syria. And they get their $5. Yeah, because nothing's changed with them. All right, so that is it for the Commonwealth French turn. Let me go over a couple C-Zones where we got some bunch up. C-Zone 24, we've got on Maritime Air Patrol a seaplane. We also have on escort duty a corvette and a destroyer. We have a transport, coastal defense ship, torpedo boat destroyer, light cruiser, and a submarine in C-Zone 24. We can't have that fighter out there. He was going to go, so let's land him somewhere. So from that C-Zone there, which is what? 32. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into Eastern Egypt, making 2 airplanes, or 2 fighters. All right, so now we are legal. C-Zone 32, 2 destroyers on escort duty, along with a carrier tactical bomber. C-Zone 79 is 2 destroyers, 1 heavy cruiser on escort duty. And also in the C-Zone is a light carrier fighter, torpedo boat destroyer, transport, battle cruiser, heavy cruiser, 3 battleships, and then the U.S. transport, which I'm sure will move. The last C-Zone, 83, we've got 3 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 1 destroyer, 1 transport, 1 light carrier, 1 fighter. And I think that would be all that would need to be. Maybe Eastern Egypt. is down to 3 regular infantry, 4 militia. We've got some colonials, SDF and RWAFF, and the Arab Legion, 2 anti-aircraft guns, 2 fighter. And I think that should be it for recaps on anything of importance. Nothing changed in FEC, and it was just some light moving around here in the Pacific. So up next will be Italy. So category cow, it's your turn.